Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. We are on part 3 of probably 5 of these videos where I do my love and hate of each NHL team. I put on my white away Islanders jersey to remind me because I know I'll get lost in these videos. So this is going to remind me this is part 3 because my brain doesn't work very well anymore. Obviously, just by virtue of the fact that I'm doing silly videos like this is uh, probably a telltale sign that I'm on my way to slipping, and on the doorway to dementia, probably. Okay, so let's just go through the teams. I'm going to call this. This is still the Eastern Conference, and a lot of these teams I probably won't like because they're newer teams and they've had success, and I'm not a big fan of that. I shouldn't. It's kind of hypocritical because the Islanders were in only about 7 or 8 years before they won their 4 Stanley Cups in a row. But here we go. Carolina Hurricanes. Not a big fan of this team. Don't hate them for their players or anything. They're a really solid team. In fact, I thought they were maybe going to go all the way last year. But they're a transplant team, and so I don't like that they used to be the Hartford Whalers. I hate that the Hartford Whalers had to leave because they didn't get enough. I mean, Hartford, there's just too much hockey competition in the Northeast for some teams to survive. I mean, you got Philadelphia, you got Pittsburgh, you've got Boston, you've got the Islanders, you've got the Rangers, you've got the New Jersey Devils. There's a lot, and the Washington Capitals aren't far away either. You've got a lot of competition in a small area. Even though there's millions, 20, 30 million people in that area, you still Hartford unfortunately had to leave, and so that's the hate part of Carolina. And they also won a Stanley Cup back in 2006, 5 or 6, I can't remember which, but they won one pretty early, and so Hartford moved there in '97, so I was not a big fan of them winning one relatively quickly. We'll get to the Avalanche and that when I get to the Western Conference. Chicago Blackhawks. Uh, Pretty neutral on them. They suffered a long time. They went about, I want to say, 40 years without winning a cup. I think from 1970 or 66. It was a while, and then they won 3 in 5 years. So they had a lot of hate towards them as far as just having a lot of success in a short amount of time. I think they won theirs in 11, 13, and 15, something like that. But they won one every other year a 5 year span. So they won three, which probably made a lot of the league unhappy. I know I actually cheered against them for at least one of those. But I love their uniform. I don't think it's a disrespectful homage to the Blackhawk tribe. That's up to you guys. But I've always liked the uniform. I love black and red. It's one of my favorite color combinations for sports teams. And the Blackhawks do it great. Plus, one of my friends that plays hockey and has been on my hockey podcast with Mike Davis, Top Cookies. Check it out if you're bored. It's a couple years old. We don't do it anymore, unfortunately. But Matt Toboggan, we call him Matt Canham, aka Toboggan, Mantis Toboggan. It's his favorite team, and they won the Connor Bedard sweepstakes over this past spring, and we're gonna go see him. We're gonna go see Connor Bedard. Hopefully, the next McDavid or Gretzky play against the Avs on October 18th, I believe. So, but there you go. Neutral on Chicago. Columbus neutral. Who cares? Why'd they put him in Columbus, first of all? I don't understand that. Nobody knows what a Blue Jacket is, except for history people like me. It's a reference to the Civil War. Why? They could have brought him to Cleveland, would have made more sense. But, Columbus, they haven't had much success. They last year they were terrible. And, they brought Johnny Gaudreau from Calgary, Johnny Hockey, and he didn't get him into the playoffs. My friend Mike Davis and I, like I said, we do the podcast, we both predicted this would happen, that Johnny Hockey would not vault Columbus to any kind of success, and he did not. Dallas, team I don't like. I generally don't like Dallas-based teams. They've hurt my heart too many times. The Cowboys did it back when I was a kid to the Broncos in Super Bowl 12. And they're another transplant team too. They used to have the Minnesota North Stars, and then they became the Dallas Stars, I want to say in mid-90s, maybe 93, 94. Minnesota North Stars went to a couple of Stanley Cups. They did not win either of them. And just, yeah, I'm kind of biased against warm weather teams too. I almost feel like if it doesn't snow where you live, maybe you shouldn't have hockey. I know it's kind of old school and stupid, but yeah, I'm not a fan of the Dallas Stars. I'm not a fan of the way they won their 1999 Cup. People like me still say there was not a goal. If you apply the rules at the time the way they were supposed to be applied, it wasn't a goal. But oh, whatever. They had great players on that team. It was a hell of a team, honestly. But I'm not a fan of the Dallas Stars. I cheer against them often. Team that I should cheer against more, the Detroit Red Wings. I actually don't hate Detroit. It was a great rivalry, though. If you were around when we first got hockey here in Colorado, well, not first, but the biggest time we've had hockey, the team that stayed, the Colorado Avalanche, came in '95, and they went and they just really disrupted the Detroit Red Wings party train that was supposed to be a bunch of Stanley Cups. Detroit still did fine after that, but we and the New Jersey Devils put them on delay. New Jersey beat them in '95. They didn't even get to the Cup final, of course, because of us in '95, '96. And we went on to beat the Florida Panthers. And I say we, Avs are my backup team. This was my first team, but the Avs are my backup. But yeah, Detroit went on to win in '97, '98, '02, and '08, I believe. So they had a really good run. 4 cups over 11 years. They're fine. So don't hate them, but don't feel bad for them either. They had a long time in between, to be fair. I think it took like 50-some years for them to get another cup, but then they won 4 in 11 years. That's pretty good. Florida Panthers. The one warm weather team I really like is the Florida Panthers. I like the Panther. I just like a cat. I like cat teams. They've been really good. They've often underperformed in the playoffs, but they overperformed in the playoffs this past year, so I like that about them. I was hoping they could beat Vegas. I'll go on to them later because I'm not a fan of them. But they are the one warm weather team I like. When they first came on in the early '90s, they had a lot of former Islanders people were in their management team. I think the GM was a former Islander guy. They had a lot of that influence, and they did pretty well. I mean, they're the team that lost to the Avalanche, and they'd only been in a couple of years as well. So I've always liked the Florida Panthers. They're a love team. I have no hate for them at all. Great team right now. Goalies, they just got it all, and I love them. I love the kitty. As you saw, maybe like I said, Eli was pissed off in that first video because I wasn't mentioning them in the first video, and they are in the Eastern Conference. Maybe I should have. 2 more teams. One I'm neutral on, the Nashville Predators. I wouldn't mind seeing them do well. They did get to the Cup, I think, in '17, maybe. Can't remember, but they lost a Stanley Cup in the last like 6, 7, 8 years. They've often had good teams. I liked them because they had my former coach with the Islanders who got screwed out of a job, Barry Trotz, one of the best coaches in history. He's I think 3rd on the all-time wins list. He helped the Islanders get back and get good and get relevant. A couple of years ago, he got the Washington Capitals their Stanley Cup in 2018. He brought Nashville there a couple of years before that. So, like Nashville for having Barry Trotz. Like once again another cat symbol, like the Preds, and I like their yellow uniforms. They kind of stand out. They're not the classic yellow and black like Boston and Pittsburgh have, but I kind of like it. I like those bright uniforms that they have down there in Nashville. And the final team, big hate team for me, is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Once again, another warm weather team I don't like. They're very, very good. They're almost like, to me, they're like the Patriots of hockey, and that's a big reason I'm not a fan. They won. Like, I always get mixed up whether they or Carolina, but Carolina and Tampa Bay started this warm weather trend, and a lot of warm weather teams have won cups since then. '05 and '06. I always get mixed up which one won which year, but those 2 teams won back to back, and then Tampa Bay came back, of course, and has been very relevant lately. Won in 20 and 21 before the Avs kept them from winning 3 in a row last year. So, but yeah, I'm not a fan of Tampa Bay. I like John Cooper, their coach. He's just a mellow guy, and he coaches a hell of a team. But that much talent shouldn't be on one team. They did some fishy stuff regarding the salary cap to get here, and so I'm not a fan of that. Sort of like the Dallas Cowboys did in the mid '90s, and so they're the Patriots of the league, and they're probably my least favorite team. So they're a big hate team for me. Still respect them, but don't like them. So yeah, there you go. Also, another reason I don't like Tampa Bay is they knocked the Eastern Conference Finals, the 2 years they won the Cup, they knocked the Islanders out in the Eastern Conference Finals, so that hurt a lot. But there's section number 3 where through the Eastern Conference, I will get to the Western Conference at the next 2 videos, so this will be a 5-parter. If you're watching this, thanks for your patience, and put in the comments who you hate. Maybe you hate the Islanders for some reason. Maybe you hate all kinds of teams or love all kinds of teams for some reason. I'd love to hear your opinions. Maybe we can go back and forth in the comments. But there's another section. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.